Hey everyone, welcome back. General Dreams Garage here. So, working on something I don't want to be working on, but it happens. So, the water pump started leaking on the JK. So, I drained that. I went to unbolt it. Here's the water pump there. And here's a little clue as to what the problem is. So, two of the bolts, 2 out of the 7 bolts, snapped off. They all felt the same. You go, start to loosen them and not putting a lot of torque on them. Just do. Feels like it's coming out, and then it's like, oh, great. The rest of the bolt's still in the engine. So I messed around a little bit. I got penetrating oil on it. I tried to heat them a little bit. So tonight I got a friend coming over. We're gonna heat those up a little bit and try a little beeswax. Supposedly that soaks in there. His uncle used to build engines, and that's what he always did. So we're gonna give that a try. Heat those up, beeswax it, and then probably try to weld a nut on the head, and then see if I can back them out. Get this thing out of here. It's blocking the General, and this is Friday night, and I have 2 invites for this weekend to go play with some friends. I got a friend going to the dunes, to Winchester Bay, and I got friends going up to Baber to do a loop up there and see how it's done. Kind of an investigative ride, see what kind of trail work we need to do up there. But the only way to take that is to fix this or to hook onto this with the truck and pull it out and then drive this out and then push this back in, and I probably won't get into that. If this is in the way, I probably won't go. So we'll see what happens. Get this thing together, get it out of the way, and I'll show you any tips. I'll let you know if the beeswax idea works. I'll go grab my flashlight and I'll show you the little stud sticking out so you can see how much I'm starting with. Alright, so I just got that little bit right there sticking out on that one. Get the light, see that? And then the one back there, about the same. Can you see it? Where'd it go? There it is. So that one's not as accessible because it's got the pulley in the way. It's not directly in the way, but anyway, I gotta try to get those out. Hopefully I can unscrew them. Otherwise I gotta try to drill them, and worst case I try to take this timing cover off, and then you're messing with the harmonic balancer and all that. I do not want to get into that. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know. Okay, so got the bolts out. And you can see a tap right there. I'm chasing the threads. So that one over there behind that pulley was a real bear, but it was 4 or 5 tries on each one of those bolts. We heated them up, we put some beeswax on it, let it soak in the threads, was the theory. I'd had it soaking for a couple days prior to that, and we wound up taking the welder and welded bolts or nuts on there, like I say, 4 or 5 times. And the bolt kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and I'm thinking I'll have to rip this whole thing apart. And then they came out. So I got them now, chasing the threads. Gonna take a little Scotch-Brite, clean up the surface of that aluminum there where it's kind of corroded, get that all shiny and pretty and dry, and then start putting a new pump on. So using the size bolts that go to those nuts wasn't working. I had to use 5/16 grade 8 nuts, and then turn the welder down a ways so that I could actually build a weld up on the stud and bite into the nut. And you know, every time you did that, you're transferring heat through that stud again. So in theory, that's helping to break it loose also. So like I say, here's the brand new one I bought from the dealer. So it's original equipment. It came with a gasket. They sold me a gasket also, so I returned that because it came with one. So we'll go ahead and get that all together, throw everything back on there, and see what else I can find that would be helpful to you out there, and I'll let you know. Here I go. Alright, I got it mounted on there. I put a little bit of Forma gasket on one side of the gasket to hold it to the engine, and because, you know, it's not a perfectly machined surface on that anymore with the, you know, little corrosion. And then the other side of the seal that comes with it has got a built-in little ring in it for sealing. So I got that on there. Put some never sees on the bolts, which means you got to lower the torque a little bit. So I did, what did I do? I did 85 inch-pounds on the bolts holding it to the engine, and I did 200 inch-pounds on the bolts holding the pulley on. So I'll let that cure overnight. I forgot to pick up water to mix with the antifreeze, so I'll grab some of that, throw that in the morning, and throw that in the morning, burp it, and make sure there's no leaks. Wash the underside off because there's antifreeze all over it. There's antifreeze on the floor in here. Get this mess all cleaned up and move on. So that'll be nice. But one of the things I mentioned at the beginning, I believe, was I had a couple of offers to go play, and my four-wheeler's up there, the side-by-side's there, and the Jeep's here. And I could have put it all together tonight and then been able to go with the side-by-side, but I'm just gonna take my time, make sure that cleans up, and take the weekend off from playing and work on some of the chores around here. Get this mess cleaned up a little bit, get this cleaned up. I gotta get back to work on that rack back there. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit now. I'll bring you back in the morning, make sure this thing is all good, and test her out and be done, hopefully. All right, here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Sunday morning. So I came out this morning, I put some antifreeze in the Jeep, and then I got everything moved out of here. Got the floor all squeegeed up. Had to go to Newport and get the squeegee. I didn't have one. I wanted to make sure that I had this floor nice and clean, so I don't have to worry about the animals coming out and licking the floor up and the floor being sticky from antifreeze residue or anything like that. So what we got is I put a little bit of antifreeze in it here, and then I backed it out there, and that is parked with the front up and the passenger side up. So the radiator cap is the high point of the cooling system right now. And I think I said that earlier in the video, but I went ahead and went for a drive. I did all that. It's doing a cycle. No, looks like it's down just a hair, so I'll put a little bit more in there. I just go through multiple cycles on that to make sure that I got all the bubbles out of the system, because we don't want to have an airlock in there. So I'll do that a few more times still. I don't see it doing that anymore, and that'll be it. So what I did, I put, don't remember if I mentioned it or not. If not, it's a recap. So I put an original Mopar water pump in there. They're not cheap. It was like 170, 180 bucks. Came with the gasket. And then I put original antifreeze in it. When the radiator went out on that, I put an original radiator in it. I've just been keeping the thing all original. You can go to the parts house and you can pick up a water pump, or online you can pick them up for 40 bucks, 50 bucks, 60 bucks, all the way up to this. I've seen some people online that sell supposedly a original equipment water pump, and they were like 120. I just went to our local dealer. They got me a water pump. I threw that in there, and what was really weird about this whole situation is one day I popped the hood to check the fluids, and the bottle is empty. I was like, whoa, things are wet to the point that it's like you don't know where it's coming from. So I cleaned everything up. I filled everything back up, and then I'd been driving it as opposed to my wife driving it, so I've been able to keep an eye on it closer, and nothing was happening. It's like, where did it all come from? So it still was full, but last week or the week before, I saw just a little bit of antifreeze coming out from the water pump. So I go, okay, it wasn't rattling, wasn't making any noises, wasn't loose, nothing. So I figure I'm gonna get in front of this, I'm gonna put a new water pump on it. So that's the reason I did that. So I don't have to worry about it, hopefully, and get that out of the way and get back to the projects in here on other things like that rack I gotta build, and I found some new information on the General as far as the starter and the starter switch and all that. I'll do that in another video. And still having the cold start issue. I got all kinds of things to do. There ain't no shortage of that. But anyway, I'm rambling a little now. Got the JK back on the road. I hope this helps someone out there. You got any questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Really helps the channel. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.